You were never too much. Look at that child, that face, that silence, that alertness in the eyes. That is not too much. That is adaptation. Part 1. The child who learned early. Some of us grew up in African homes where strength was expected early. Don't cry. Be strong. Respect. Endure. And so we did. We swallowed tears before they reached our chin. We learned tone control before we learned self-expression. We read adult moods before we understand our own. I remember thinking my emotions were the problem. So I shrink. I become easier, quieter, smaller. Not because I was weak, but because I was intelligent enough to survive. Children don't shrink randomly, they shrink strategically. Part 2. Cultural strength and silent survival. In many African households, survival is woven into identity. Our parents survived scarcity, political instability, migration, sacrifice. So, softness wasn't always available. Love existed, but sometimes without language. Protection existed, but sometimes without emotional safety. So we adapted. We become the strong one, the responsible one, the quiet one, the independent one. But strength built in survival often comes with silence. And silence builds distance from self. Part 3. The hard insight. Here is the truth that changes everything. Your coping mechanism are not character flaws. They were survival intelligence. Overthinking, you learned to anticipate danger. People pleasing, you learned harmony prevents conflict. Emotional numbness, you learned feelings were not always safe to show. Hyper discipline, you learned control protects you from chaos. That child in the photo, they were not dramatic. They were adapting to the temperature of the room. And if the room was unpredictable, they become predictable. If the room was loud, they become quiet. If the room was unstable, they become strong. That is not weakness. That is brilliance under pressure. Part 4. The immigrant layer. Now imagine this. You survived childhood adaptation. Then you moved countries. Now you are adapting again. New language, new culture, new identity. You adjust your accent, your facial expression, your emotional responses. You try not to be too African. You try not to be too different. You shrink again. Not because you are insecure, because you know how to survive. But adaptation laid on adaptation can make you forget who you are without pressure. That confusion is not failure, it's accumulated survival. Part 5. Discipline versus fear. Now, let's separate something important. Discipline is powerful, but discipline born from fear feels heavy. There is a difference between I wake up early because I respect my future and I wake up early because if I stop moving, I will feel everything. There is difference between I set boundaries because I value peace and I isolate because closeness feels unsafe. Healing is not removing structure. It is removing fear from the structure. That is identity rebuilding. Part 6. The reframe. Look again at the African child. See the eyes. That is resilience. That is awareness. That is depth. You were never too emotional. You were emotionally intelligent in an environment that didn't always know how to hold emotions. You were never too strong. You were strong because you had to be. You were never too quiet. You were observing. You were learning. You were surviving. Part 7. The question that frees you. Ask yourself, what did I become in order to survive? Did you become invisible? Perfect? Responsible too early? Independent beyond your age? Now ask, do I still need to be that version? You can honor survival without living inside it forever. That is growth. Part 8. Integration. Thank that child. The one who stayed quiet. The one who endured. The one who watched carefully. The one who adapted beautifully. They saved you. But you are not 5 anymore. You are not 10 anymore. You are not trapped in that room anymore. Your nervous system just hasn't received the update yet. Give it one. You are safe enough now to soften. Safe enough to feel. Safe enough to choose instead of react. Stop apologizing for survival. Stop calling your coping strategies flaws. Stop shrinking because someone once misunderstood your depth. You were not too much. You were adapting. And now you get to evolve. Not from fear, not from trauma, but from conscious identity. The child you once were did not break. They learned, they endured, they adapted, and that child exists in every culture, every country, every language. A quiet child in Africa, a silent child in Europe, a watchful child in America, a strong child in Asia, different places, same survival. Children everywhere learn how to survive the rooms they grew up in. But adulthood gives us something powerful. The chance to choose who we become next. So, honor the child who adapted, but build the adult who is free, because survival was the beginning of your story, not the end of it. And now you build forward.